We are back for another edition of SJHL Weekly across the entire SJHL social media platforms. Thank you so much for joining us, and happy Halloween. A big shout out to all of our sponsors who make SJHL Weekly possible before we get started on a very busy episode of SJHL Weekly. Those being Chevrolet, Capital Auto Mall, Great Western, Cantera Seeds, RBC, SaskTel, SGU, Direct West, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, Tourism Saskatchewan, and Young's Equipment. Thank you so much for your support, and we wouldn't be able to do this show without the great support. Now we have to bring in our great co-host, Jamie Neugebauer, and back in the studio,
we're back, baby.
Rory Mcgouran. Gentlemen, how are we? How was the weekend?
Happy Halloween, man. Yeah, we're doing great. You mentioned a jam-packed show. We got a double feature here of the Battlefords North Stars with Holden Dole and Gary Childerhose, the assistant coach there. We're bringing back Buy It or Sell It, mine and Nuge's favorite segment. We got Players of the Week. So there's not a lot of tricks. There's a lot of treats on this show here. Happy Halloween, everyone.
Look at that professionalism broadcasting from Rory. And look at the set. It is amazing. IKS crew people here.
Yes. Oh, there's the ghosts. You can see the ghosts.
Oh, there's some guys who were traded. There you go.
Oh, jeez. Okay, Jimmy. All right. Yes. Like Rory said, a lot of treats, not much for tricks. So let's quickly get into the out-of-town scoreboard from the weekend. It was a busy weekend, 8 games on the schedule in total. Let's start with Friday nights. The Flin Flon Bombers doubling up the Melville Millionaires 4-2. Weyburn getting back in the win column with a 4-1 win over Nipawin. And the Battlefords North Stars winning at home 5-2 over the Humboldt Broncos. Then on Saturday, a jam-packed day, 5 games on the schedule, and the home team winning all 5 games on Saturday. It saw the Flin Flon Bombers winning 5-4 over the Melville Millionaires. The Estevan Bruins winning 5-2 over the Notre Dame Hounds. It was the Nipawin Hawks. There we go. The Nipawin Hawks winning 4-3 over the Weyburn Red Wings, 4-3 in a shootout. The Humboldt Broncos bouncing back at home with a 3-2 overtime win over the Battlefords North Stars, and the L'Orange Ice Wolves winning 4-1 over the Melfort Mustangs at home at the Mel. And of course, our weekend recap is always presented by Sask Lotteries. And boys, I think there's really one place we really have to start, and that's obviously the home and home between the Battlefords North Stars and the Humboldt Broncos. I would say comfortably with watching the first game on Hockey TV and then the second game live in Humboldt on Saturday. Rory, those were some great hockey games between two of the two top teams right now in the SJHL.
I don't think it's really any surprise either, but the pace of play, the talent, the matchups between Braden Klamosko and Scott Barney, easily the best 120 minutes of hockey I've seen. And you know what? The first game, tight as it could possibly be for the first 45. Officiating got a little out of hand with 173 penalty minutes in the final 10 minutes or so, right? I think 161 of them were in the final 10 minutes, but that's when you give credit to the teams that take advantage of their opportunities. Battlefords were granted a few of them, and they ran away with it at home. Humboldt then, if there was ever a game that needed the epitome of protecting home ice, it was that game. Exact same script. Up 1-0 after the first, Battleford ties it. Up 2-1 after the second, Battlefords ties it. This one, though, stayed 2-2, overtime. Lucas Ceccarelli, a big goal by one of their leaders. And Battleford's still undefeated in regulation through 17 games. However, a big win in the answer for Humboldt on Saturday.
And before you tackle that, Jamie, those 2 games, it's worth mentioning, too, on that Saturday game, Ceccarelli hit the post with about 2 minutes left, so he almost handed Battleford their first regulation loss. I guess, Jamie, your thoughts on the 2 games?
Yeah, just simply that this is we wanted it to be spicy. We
100%.
wanted there to be a lot of enmity. That's a big word between these 2 teams. And I was just watching, and the thought that came to me over and over again is if this is a playoff series sometime in the playoffs, sign me up.
Yeah, big time.
Right now, it was electric. It must have been a lot of fun to call. Marty on the Battlefords call was losing his marbles, too. It was always fun. Marty loses all the time.
I was gonna say.
love Marty. He's great. But it was fun. Big hits by Dalen Weagle and Connor Kasperi late in those games that were, given controversial calls, we'll say. But they were huge hits. If you like hits, Rory, those were massive. When Connor Kasperi hits you, though, you feel it. It's true.
I just loved it, and you talked to both coaches afterwards, even Gary, who we're going to talk to later in the show. It was playoff-like hockey
sure
in
was.
October.
I love it.
mean, so anyone that got to experience it, and the crowds, got a shout-out to both everyone at Access Communications Center and the Elgar Peterson Arena. They showed up in droves, and I think over 1,000 in both buildings, both nights. So, yeah, awesome hockey between those two teams.
Yeah, and the fans traveling as well. There's a good Battleford contingent in Humboldt on Saturday, but two amazing hockey games, to say the least. But let's move on. The Flin Flon Bombers, one of the top teams in the SJHL, 2 big wins at home against the Melville Millionaires. Obviously, Melville playing 4 games in 5 nights on the road. 2 games in La Ronge, 2 games against Flin Flon. I would argue the 2 toughest buildings to play in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, but Flin Flon coming out with 2 tight wins at home over Melville. I guess, Jamie, your thoughts on those games?
Well, do you guys remember when we were talking about Flin Flon having a hard time scoring goals?
Yeah, that was about a month ago.
I guess we were nuts. There have been 3 games all year that the Flin Flon power play hasn't scored a goal. That is crazy. Only 1 game in October that the Flin Flon power play didn't score a goal. Jaden Mercier has 10 power play assists already this year. And man, oh man, the new camera up there looked pretty cool too, with the Pixelot up in the Whitney Forum. Pretty interesting. I know some people, not gotta get used to it, I guess, but it was pretty neat. But man, oh man, that Flin Flon power play unit's really clicking, and I gotta say, as well, the Melville D-Corps, I think, is starting to look better and better. Boston Harkness is an 05 birth year D-man. I love the young kids getting an opportunity. I really like him, too. And, so, good for Melville for being, in tight and tough in those games. And obviously, we'll talk more about Zach Kane and his impact moving forward. But, tough road trip for Melville, 4 and 5, as you mentioned, in tough barns, and they got 1 out of the 4, and it's tough to stop Flin Flon right now.
Hardest stretch, I think, any team, unless they have the exact same stretch that you're going to go through in a season. 4 games in 5 days. Twice in La Ronge and twice in Flin Flon to wrap it up for Melville. They did pick up 1 victory. I'm sure they would have liked more.
100%.
You mentioned Zach Kane, how great he was up there. You're really doing everything offensively. It is possible for him to try and keep Melville in those games, but when you look at the standings, Melville, I don't think you can really be deterred right now. You're in that logjam, 1 point out of a playoff spot. So, get back home, stick to what you're doing. That's an incredibly tough stretch. You're able to get 2 points and stay tight with Flin Flon throughout those 2 as well.
Yeah, and I think for the Melville Millionaires, even though, like you mentioned, they went 1 and 3 during that 4-game and 5-night stretch, still think there's a lot of positives to take away from that trip. Let's stay in La Ronge, though. Big 4-1 win at home over the Melfort Mustangs on Saturday night. 2 division rivals going head-to-head, and La Ronge picking up the win. You know what? We talked about, I do believe, last week, when La Ronge was going to host Melville. If they had won both those games, they would have been right there above the Flin Flon Bombers going into the weekend. But La Ronge picking up forward of a possible 6 points this week. I know we're going to talk about La Ronge and their start to the year later on in the show, but let's talk a little bit about the Ice Wolves and how strong they've been so far this year. And quite frankly, they've been very good at home.
Yeah, very good at home. Rory, we've talked about it a lot, going up there calling games. The bounces in that rink, there's some sort of crazy magic voodoo going on. The bounces are nuts, but you got to take advantage. And, I think it really, really starts with to me, the most underrated player in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, at least right now, is Walker Jerome. Yeah. 2 goals. He's a big leader, a great leader. His dad, Todd, is a coach for at the University of Regina and knows the game well. Walker knows the game well. Not a blazer of a skater, Walker, but he does everything else right, I feel like, Rory, and such a big piece for them. And getting Connor Abrick, to be a bit more of that power play quarterback that the Ice Wolves were needing to generate more on the power play. Trenton Curtis has been a match made in heaven for them too, and yeah, they're tough to go up there. And again, kudos to Melville for the way that they played against La Ronge, but still, we talk about Dawson Smith too, in the sticks. He's been as good as anybody. So there's a lot to like about La Ronge right now.
Yeah, and Abrick, filling in for the shoes that we saw McKellen Couture after he was acquired on the top of that power play unit. Big shoes to fill, as he was one of the best at it, at getting the puck towards the net. Abrick's been great. For La Ronge, it's simple to me. It's systems. When they are playing that way that Kevin Kaminsky wants, they're one of the hardest teams to beat. When they're off and not playing that type of system, they can have off nights. So when they buy in and they play collectively, you mentioned Jerome, Morgan, Strick, they're not the flashiest players in the league, but they got to play consistent. They got to play that hard way. When they do, they're one of the best teams in the SJHL.
You cannot argue that they are one of the hardest working teams in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. The S Van Bruins finally got to play a game at home, as they had about 2.5 weeks off, but they picked up a 5-2 win over the Notre Dame Hounds, a much needed win for Estevan getting back home, and now I think they have a decent stretch at home as well. I guess, guys, thoughts on that game?
Estevan Bruins have played 20 games already.
It's unbelievable.
And I saw a tweet, and I wish I would have remembered who tweeted it out, but they said that they're going to be halfway done.
Josh Biggs.
That was Josh Biggs.
Yes,
yeah.
halfway done their
Shout out
schedule
Josh
on
Biggs.
November 19th.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is a front-loaded, heavy schedule.
Very.
So when you look at the Estevan Bruins, 10-10 through their 20, would they like to be over 500? A few more wins, sure. But this is a team that there's a lot of rollover from that championship team. So a lot of hockey. They're 500.
Mm-hmm.
They're right above the halfway point of the league, 5th place. But I think, once things slow down, they're going to again be that Estevan Bruins team that we saw finish the year last year.
Yeah, and from the Notre Dame side of things, they're still learning. You need to show up on time. Was not a good first period for Notre Dame. It was a very good first period, for Estevan. The Hounds found their legs, and then we once again saw that one of the elites in this league is still the elites in this league, and that's Cam Herdzlika in the net. He is outstanding when he needs to be, and boom, boom, back the other way. Estevan's got a couple more in the back of the net, but the first goal for a guy that I think has had as many chances as anybody in this league in terms of a rookie in Jacob Leege. Really happy to see him get his first SJHL goal. Great young hockey player, 2004 birth year out of Michigan. He's had so many chances to score, just couldn't Barry finally got one. So there's the positive for Notre Dame, but great performance for 60 minutes by the Estevan Bruins.
And finally, the last place we have to go for the weekend is the 2 games up in Nipawin between the Hawks and the Weyburn Red Wings, and that is actually where we will find our Tourism Saskatchewan highlight of the week. Have a look.
Carson shot back on the 6th of October. He did not score. Carson's going to pick it up on the center ice dot. The 20-year-old of Plenty, Saskatchewan. Dobson moves in. Nice move. Scores!
And that was the shootout winner by Carson Dobson on Saturday for the Nipawin Hawks. The Wings and Hawks split their 2 games up in Nipawin, but I think after the way that the Hawks lost on Friday, I think that was a much-needed win by them on Saturday.
Yeah, 100%. And the Weyburn Red Wings and Nipawin Hawks, these are one of the games where you're going to look back at the end of the year.
Big
Weyburn
time.
won 1 game this week, and they leapfrogged from 11th into 7th. Like,
Yes.
that's how crazy it is down there, right?
They got 3 of 6 points.
Huge extra point for the Nipawin Hawks. And with the way there's clustered down at that 7 to pretty much 12, right? The final 6 teams in the league. I never want to speculate whether, a player's available for trade, right? Especially a young player, in junior hockey.
And
but
it's still early.
But I'm going to guess, if Nipawin decides maybe next year is where they're going for, although they're 1 point out of a playoff spot, so not yet, the phone's going to be ringing off the hook for Carson Dobson. You saw that goal there. He's one of my favorite players in the league and effective in every area. So if he's available, the teams will be calling.
Yeah, fantastic player. And from the Weyburn perspective, I love the moves that Cody Mapes has been making. Take a little bit of pressure off of Ty Mason and any line that he's on. Make it a little bit more of a matchup. And they brought in Matteo Turin from Langley in the BCHL. He's hit the ground running, and he and Miquan Tallman and Jacob Kalin together on that number 1 line for Weyburn. They're playing great. Again, take some pressure off Ty Mason. Life post Kirk Mullen there in Weyburn begins, and I think they've got to feel good. And the final thing is, what a great story. We'll talk about it more later, but Bernie Weston, 2007 birth year, guy who was at the game there, was just losing his mind about how good the 2007 birth year kid call up out of the Swift Legionnaires is. And again, we'll talk about it more, but great performance by the kid there.
And that's a great segue, Jamie, because of how jam-packed our show is today. We are actually going to go right into announcing the players of the week this week, and we will, as always, start with our SGU MVP of the week. I know we had some great discussion in our group chat about MVP of the week, but then some stat changes came in late Sunday night. It always seems to come in late, but we decided to end up going with Melville Millionaires captain Zach Kane. 3 goals, 5 assists. I know the team only went 1-3, but talk about an amazing performance, not only this week, but also last week for Zach Kane of the Melville Millionaires.
Yeah, we talked about Melville maybe needing a little bit of secondary scoring to get them, over up into the top half of the league. But if they get Zach Kane performances like this, maybe they don't. Because he's first place now in the SJHL in scoring. And I know they only won 1 game, but this is a guy that he does everything for the Melville Millionaires. Their captain, 8 points in 4 games. That's enough to earn MVP, even though they won just 1 game. We talked about how hard that stretches, and Kane was everything they needed to get at least 2 points out of it.
100%. Moving on to our Direct West Rookie of the Week. And it's our first repeat winner of the year, actually, guys. And that is defenseman Karsten Kater of the Humboldt Broncos. And I think, obviously, Rory, you can speak to it, but he was great all week. But I think he was really good in that win over the Battlefords North Stars on Saturday.
Yeah, 2 assists on the Broncos' second goal of the game on the power play, and then the overtime winner. You can watch the intelligence already by the 16-year-old on that overtime play. He slows down in the blue line, brings Jordan Gibbs with him, then finds Ceccarelli on the far side. So, not a lot of huge, crazy standout rookies this week, but to beat the Battlefords North Stars, you need everyone on the ice and everyone playing their best. Karsten Kater was one of his best games throughout that weekend set, so deserving, I think, of it.
Yeah, Jamie, thoughts?
Yeah. I just said love the highlight. The D1 commits. Nebraska Omaha's getting a good one. I think everybody around the SJ who's seen Karsten play knows that already. And last thing I'll say is you see the trust that Scott Barney has in Kater already to put him out in overtime against the Battlefords North Stars. Like, the best team in the league, probably maybe the best team in junior hockey in Canada, debatable depending on what you think of the SJHL rankings. But to put him out there in overtime shows a lot to me.
It sure does. Moving on to our defenseman of the week, and we end up going with Connor Abrick of the Larange Ice Wolves. 1 goal, 2 assists. You guys mentioned earlier, obviously, he's really stepped up his game this year for Larange.
Yeah. I think it's taken some time for Connor to adjust to this level. Came out of high school hockey, I believe, in Wisconsin, but he's figured it out. Rory touched on it right there, trying to replace McKillen Couture at the top of that, that 1-3-1 power play that Larange usually plays. Scored against Melville, got a couple points. And with the way that the forward core for Larange is going, if they can get anything offensive from their D core, it's a real bonus. And Abrick's been that. He's big boy too, physical, tough down low in his own zone, hard to play against. So, he's kind of a perfect fit right now for Kevin Kaminsky's system.
And finally, you teased it earlier, Jamie. But I think the reason why I saved this one for last, because I think this one, for me at least, we talk about storylines in hockey, and for me, this is kind of the story of the week. And the announcement of SaskTel Goalie of the Week is Bernie Weston of the Weyburn Red Wings, the 2007, makes me feel old, 2007 born netminder, stopping 29 out of 30 saves on a Friday night win for the Weyburn Red Wings, winning 4-1. It's a tough spot to make your SJHL debut, but I mean, what a performance by the youngster.
And the shots were 24-9 Nipawin after 40 minutes, too. Like, it wasn't like he was, eased into the SJHL.
No,
like, he was jumped right in, and he's not a big boy either, but he moves so well. And, being a 2007 birth year, Cody Mapes is really excited for a couple of reasons. Obviously the talent, but another element is that he's a pretty highly thought of prospect for the Swift Current Broncos in the dub, but the Swift Current Broncos have a lot of young goalies in their system that are maybe a little bit ahead of him. So it's actually an interesting situation. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a Weyburn Red Wing moving forward. And the last thing I'll say about it is that we would be remiss if we didn't mention that Kelton Pine did kind of the same thing last year with the Melville Millionaires when he was called up. Thought maybe he'd start the year in Regina, and he did this year and whatever, but he came in and had a shutout for Melville last year, sort of the same situation as a young kid. But Bernie Weston, man, very impressive, and again, a tough rink to make your debut in.
Yeah, and I just want to, obviously congratulate him, but how thrilling must it be? First ever game, 15-year-old. I can't imagine the nerves he has, right? And then to stop, 29 of 30, you said? Incredible performance. And it's a huge win, too, because you look at the Hawks and the Weyburn Red Wings, they're neck and neck, right? No one is dismissing the fact that these wins right now are going to be important come playoff time, especially for these teams that are going to be floating around that 7 and 8 line. So 15-year-old comes in, picks up the win. Yeah, that's got to be exciting for him and his family.
Well, could you imagine, fast forward from now, 4 months or so, playoff time. If they're in by a point or two, you will look at that game, Bernie Weston coming in for the Weyburn Red Wings, and as being one of the big reasons why they potentially make the playoffs. Which is a crazy storyline to think about, but you love to see it. You love to see young hockey players succeed in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, and of course, you mentioned currently playing with the Swift Current Legionnaires of the U18 League in Saskatchewan. So to recap it all, SGU MVP of the week, Zach Kane with 3 goals, 5 assists. The Direct West Rookie of the week, Karsten Kater of the Humboldt Broncos with 2 assists. SaskTel goalie of the week is Bernie Weston with his outstanding performance Friday night against the Nipawin Hawks. And then defenseman of the week, Connor Abrook of the Laurent Ice Wolves with a goal and 2 assists. You can read the full article for Players of the Week up at sjhl.ca following this episode of SJHL Weekly. After the break, we will be joined by Battlefords North Stars forward Holden Dole, who has been, quite frankly, outstanding for the Battlefords North Stars this season. This is SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms.
Capital Auto Mall is a proud partner of the SJHL, supporting the rich traditions and proud future of junior hockey in Saskatchewan. Capital Auto Mall, on the corner of Rochdale and Pasqua in Regina.
Saskatchewan, you know SaskTel, because we're everywhere. Because being everywhere keeps us connected to you. You are what matters most. With SaskTel sponsorships, we get to be a part of your community. From the dance competitions, to the rodeos, to helping discover and embrace technology across the province, we're here with you, and we're here for you. It's easy to get started. All you need to do is apply. Every year, SaskTel contributes nearly $3 million to approximately 1,000 nonprofits, charities, associations, and events in more than 200 communities across Saskatchewan. So keep dancing, keep laughing, keep discovering, and we'll be there to help, to lend a hand, and join in the fun. SaskTel cares. Always has, always will, because we are dedicated to our home. To apply for sponsorship, visit sastel.com/sponsorships.
When you buy a lottery ticket in Saskatchewan, your money really goes a long way. More than 12,000 sport, culture, and recreation groups receive funding from Sask Lotteries every year.
For victims of domestic abuse, fleeing may mean leaving everything behind. There is hope. SaskTel provides brand new cell phones so that starting over is possible. Learn more at sastel.com/fresh start.
Boost your efficiency and your bottom line with Young's equipment and Case IH tractors, including the cutting-edge Puma 150 CVX and the Maxim 145 with best-in-class efficiency. Check out the Case IH lineup today at Young's Equipment.
Welcome back to SJHL Weekly across all of the SJHL social media platforms. Thank you so much for joining us. It is Rory Mcgouran, Jamie Neugebauer, and Jeromy Corrigan. And at this time, we are pleased to be joined by Battlefords North Stars forward Holden Dole. Holden, thank you so much for joining us. How's it going today?
Not too bad. Thanks for having me on the show.
For sure, anytime. I guess first and foremost, I'll start with a nice, easy question for you. 2 games this weekend against the Humboldt Broncos, 2 amazing hockey games. What did you think of your team's play this weekend?
Yeah, I thought we played pretty good. Obviously, you'd like to get 4 to the 4 points, but 3 is not too bad. Obviously, they're really fast games for October already, so it felt like a playoff atmosphere. So, no, they were super fun.
Was that kind of what you were expecting in the first divisional matchup against the Humboldt Broncos, top 2 teams in the league, to kind of have that playoff-like atmosphere already in October, and it certainly delivered?
Yeah, for sure. You come in expecting kind of a more juicier game, I guess. Whenever we play Humboldt, there's always a little bit extra that you want to win. So, you kind of come in expecting it, but no, they were super fun to be a part of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Holden, thanks for your time. I got to ask you about that having a big brother in the league, before to kind of sound things off and bounce things off. How much did it help to have Nolan, in the league, and even to face him, I guess, even last year a bit? How did that help you, and how has that helped you, step into the role that you have now?
Yeah, no, having Nolan in the league last year helped me a lot. Obviously, he kind of told me a few things to help me out this year, and obviously playing against him last year was super fun, and we always had those battles growing up and stuff, so kind of just that competitive spirit and stuff. I'm sure my parents didn't like it, but whenever we played each other, there's obviously that little bit more into to win. So no, it was awesome having him in the league, and he taught me a lot, so it was good.
I guess building off that, Holden, when you look at your game personally, how do you see your game has progressed from last year to this year?
I feel like I got a good summer of training in, and obviously I was hurt quite a bit last year, so I tried to train my body so that I could play a full or close to a full 56 games this year. So I feel like I got faster and just that much stronger, and being in the league already a year helps a bunch. So it had a good summer of training, so it helped a lot.
Yeah, for sure. I got to ask you too, Holden. I see you. When you came out of Beardy's, and even the short COVID year there with the Blazers. I saw you as a guy that probably had a ton of options, could have gone a lot of places, but you decided to stick with the SJHL and everything. So I've got to ask you, what went into that decision, and how much have you been validated? Do you feel like sticking with the Battlefords North Stars and sticking with the SJHL?
Yeah, no, obviously when I AP'd and stuff, I noticed that they're a super good organization, so it was pretty easy choice for me. I love Braden, I love Chili, I love Wiley, I love everything about the organization, and I knew I was going to get opportunity coming in, so I just thought it was the right choice for me coming to Battlefords, and I haven't regretted it since.
And all your doors are still open with maybe where you want to take your hockey career following the SJHL. Do you take time to kind of think about that at the moment and kind of what you would hope to secure? I mean, the season you're having right now, I'm sure there's a lot of avenues open for yourself, man.
Yeah, no, obviously I'm just hoping to have the best year I can this year and kind of keep the doors open and see where it goes. But obviously the team success comes first, and then whatever happens, right? So no, but it's been a great start to the year.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk a little bit about your team success. I mean, it's been widely talked about how great of a start you guys are off to. Have you ever been a part of a start or a stretch like this in your hockey career?
No, I can't say I have. Obviously, winning 15 out of the first 17 games is special in any league or any team you're on. So I can't say I've been a part of something like this. It's been special. The guys love coming to the rink, and it's just a joy to be at the rink every day. So it's something special, and hopefully we can just keep it going throughout the year.
Holden, what's been the secret to the top line with yourself, Kean Bell, and Jake Southgate? Unarguably, let's say it right now, unarguably the best line in the SJHL throughout the first 25% of the season. But how have you guys been able to find the continued chemistry? I know you and Jake played last year, but then with the acquisition of Kean.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we kind of just gelled right away as soon as Kean came to the team. Obviously me and Jake playing together last year helps a lot because we get that chemistry, but Kean's kind of just fit right in. And no, it's just been awesome playing with two guys like that. They're super skilled and make my job pretty easy on the ice. So it's been special so far.
I got to ask you, too, the level of consistency of performance, too, from the Stars, not just results, but what you see in terms of 60 minutes, of effort. What's it like to be day in, day out, being able to do that as a collective? What's this key? How can we bottle that's what the Battlefords North Stars are doing and sell it around? What's the secret sauce?
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, I think everyone's heard it a lot. We have a really, really depth team, right? Like, a lot of the guys that came back last year have fit in new roles, being leaders and stuff. And then the new guys that have came in have just been awesome, right? They fit in perfectly. So kind of just everyone playing their role and everyone doing their job. And I feel like we're a hardworking team, right? So if you do that every night, in and out, and should get success throughout the year. So it's been good so far. Hopefully, just keep it going.
Absolutely. And with the success, of course, comes boatloads of confidence, but you don't want to get, overzealous and maybe look past some teams. We know that you've had a lot of home games. You have a 5-game road stretch coming up now in the SJHL. How do you maintain that focus to, go into Nipawin and go into Notre Dame and just play the same 60 minutes with the North Stars throughout this important road stretch for yourself?
yeah, it's important to win on the road too. So we've had a nice stretch of home games here to start the year, and it's been awesome. But I feel like it'll be nice to get on the road a little bit. That's where kind of team bonding comes in, and I feel like some of the new guys that haven't maybe seen some of the rinks like Nipawin and Flin Flon and even Notre Dame being a big ice surface, and kind of just get out and see different things, and hopefully we can just keep our winning ways on the road and keep working hard. So should be good.
Sort of similar question though. I mean, lots of noise, on social media, and the number one rank in the SJHL. And how do you kind of tune that out, or use it, or what's your philosophy about that? All the noise.
Yeah, obviously we try not to look at that stuff too much, right? Like rankings don't mean anything right now in October, so we're just hoping to be at the top in March and April. So we, obviously we use it as a motivation factor, knowing that teams are coming in wanting to beat us, right? Every night, like we're gonna get every team's best, so we know that we ought to give our best every night, and we kind of just use it as that, right? But other than that, no, we don't look at it too much.
I guess finally, Holden, Rory kind of mentioned it briefly. You now have a stretch away from the ACC, 3 games and 3 nights this weekend. Are you guys excited to finally get on the bus and hit the road and kind of bond as a team?
Yeah, I guess you could say we're excited. We love playing in front of our fans in Battleford. They're some of the best in the league, but it'll be nice to kind of get away from home for a little bit, I guess, and just get to hang out with the guys a bit on the bus and in the hotel and stuff. And then obviously it's 3 huge games, so we got to come prepared for every single one of them. But no, it should be good. We're excited for this weekend.
Well, Holden, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We really appreciate it. And congratulations on your start to the season, both for yourself personally and for the Battlefords North Stars.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
That is Battlefords North Stars forward Holden Dole. We've talked about it time and time again. An amazing start to the season for Battlefords, and Holden's been a big part of it.
Yeah, you know what? Like, he's exactly what you want. Top line center, right. Wins face off. He's not easy to play against. That's one of the things about this league, is that the top guys like him are also not easy to play against. He's a hard-nosed kid. Comes from a great family. His dad, Derek, is so involved in the right ways with him and his big brother, Nolan, who's at Red Deer College, doing a great job. We're at Red Deer College? Red Deer Polytechnic? Yeah, Red Deer College. Lots of SJ guys there, and Nolan's one of them. But, great to see, great family, and he's doing great, obviously.
Yeah, as a 19-year-old, he's already one of the best players in the league.
Yeah,
and, I mean, to watch him, you mentioned him coming out of Beardy's. I think he led the league in points that year in U18 AAA, comes in, chooses the SJHL, which, what you want to see. And all his doors are open, man. And
exactly.
I'm guessing his phone's had a couple rings with some people looking into the talent of Holden Dole, because he's a complete package, and any team would be lucky to have him.
100%. And after the break, we are going to continue our double dip with the Battlefords North Stars, as we're joined by associate coach Gary Childerhose. Right after the break, this is SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms.
Get red and ready with Case IH and Young's equipment. From Case IH combines to MacDon headers, Young's carries all the best in new or pre-owned harvest equipment. With field-ready, industry-leading equipment and highly dedicated service staff, we're here when you need us most. Come experience our award-winning service for yourself and visit youngs.ca to find your nearest Young's equipment location.
You wouldn't take the ice without protective wear. So why would you take to the job site that way? The SCSA is proud to partner with the SJHL.
Make way for the first ever Chevrolet Silverado ZR2. With Multimatic shocks, rugged 33-inch tires, and front and rear electronic locking differentials.
Dude, this is awesome, but we should get back to work. This good? Perfect.
If you're gonna work remote, work remote. Find new workspaces. Find new roads. Chevrolet.
When you buy a lottery ticket in Saskatchewan, your money really goes a long way. More than 12,000 sport, culture, and recreation groups receive funding from Sask Lotteries every year.
Capital Auto Mall is a proud partner of the SJHL, supporting the rich traditions and proud future of junior hockey in Saskatchewan. Capital Auto Mall, on the corner of Rochdale and Pasqua in Regina.
Welcome back to SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms. It's Rory, it's Jamie, it's Jeromy. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we are going to go back to the video chat line where we are pleased to be joined by the associate coach of the Battlefords North Stars, Gary Childerhose. Gary, how are we doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you guys? Thanks for having me.
Hey, we're doing great. Any day you get to talk hockey is a good day. First and foremost, Gary, let's I guess ask you about the weekend. 3 out of 4 points against the Humboldt Broncos. What did you think of your team's play?
Yeah, I thought it was probably the fastest paced weekend that we've had this year. Humboldt's a great team as well. And, it was a really good test for us as a group. And, we thought 2 games were pretty evenly matched there. And, we ended up getting 3 out of 4 there, which was good. But, obviously, you do want to complete the job, but if you would have told us we were going to get 3 out of 4 before the weekend game started, I don't think we would have turned it down, especially playing a competitive team like Humboldt.
We just talked to Holden Dole about what it was like to play in that game, already getting playoff-like atmosphere between the 2 division rivals in October. What's it like to coach it? Because we know the talent of both yourself, Braden Klamosko, and then Scott Barney and Carter Hansen, getting the line matchups going, trying to catch each other off guard. Just what was it like to coach in a game like that, or games, I should say?
It was really fun. I think it was a weekend that both teams had circled on their calendar for quite some time, so we knew what Humboldt was bringing to the table, and we just wanted to be ready to go best we could. And, playing in games like that, it's playoff atmosphere. I think we were just over 1,000 there on Friday night, and it was over 1,000 there Saturday night, and it's not something you get every weekend. So I think it was a lot of fun as a coach, and, it's one of those ones where I think it's a lot of fun, a lot of new guys, and, after the COVID years, guys aren't used to playing in full barns like that. So it was good experience, good playoff hockey early in the season, and kind of a good measuring stick to go off of here.
Yeah, I got to ask you, Chili, always a pleasure to chat with you. Also, happy belated birthday. I understand your birthday was relatively recently, too. So, happy 21st birthday for you, Chili, there. But no, I'm just kidding. It's older than that. But I got to ask you, I talked a lot with Rory on the show about how I felt like you guys were, really, really building for this year, even as well as you did last. Just talk about, what it's like in practice, knowing that there's that much familiarity and chemistry that you and Braden maybe have to explain just a little bit less this year, given that you have a much more veteran squad.
Well, yeah, appreciate the birthday wishes there, Newt. And but no, it's a great group, and I think it's a big part of our success. Last year, we were the second youngest team in the league, and we had some great leadership. And a big part of it was coming to the rink and having fun every day and working hard. And it's fun to work hard, and I think that's a big thing that our group buys into and brings every day. And we were able to, I think, having that tight group last year and having a lot of familiarity coming into the season, that's just kind of kept that culture nice and strong. And the new guys have come in and fit in like a glove and bought right in, and I think that's a big part of our success.
How have you seen the development of some of these players that are now part of the North Stars for a couple of years? 2 specifically, Holden Dole and, Tynan Ewart. It just seems that we know the talent was there last year, but they've really committed themselves in the offseason, and now they're, again, off to superb starts here, 25% in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that was the biggest thing after the season ended. Obviously, we felt our season ended too early. And it was one of the things that we talked about. We set goals as a group, what we wanted to accomplish in the offseason. And, credit to the guys. They did the work in the offseason. They came into camp in unbelievable shape. And, we feel that's another thing that kind of is a big key factor to us. We're able to, wear teams down because of the shape we are in. And, with our team depth, it doesn't matter who's in the lineup or who's playing where. Everyone buys into the system. And we are able to roll 4 lines. We like to say, we roll 5 lines and 8D because it doesn't matter who's in the lineup on any given night, and guys just come to work. And yeah, it's been great success so far and just a great group and a lot of fun to work with these guys.
Gary, I have to ask you this. I asked Holden this. Obviously, an unbelievable start to the season. You guys have yet to lose in regulation. Have you ever been a part of something like this in your coaching career or even your playing career?
No, I haven't actually. It's been an unbelievable start, 15-0-1-1, and if you count exhibition, I believe it's 22-0-1-2 kind of thing. So It's been an unbelievable start for us, and just a great group. And like I say, easy for us coaches to come to the rink every day when you got a group that just shows up early, ready to work. Good attitudes all around, and yeah, it's been a great experience, and we just want to keep putting in the work. There's a lot of work to be done here, and it's season's just begun. So looking forward to keep rolling and just keep on coming to the rink every day and just taking it a day at a time.
Yeah, Chili. Well, I think it's obvious to everybody around the league that you and Braden, do a really, really good job, with that group. But every coach knows that without recruiting, without a great scout staff behind the scenes, you are absolutely nothing. And I like to think that there's a master of puppets to some degree there at Battlefords with Wiley Riendo. You talk about players with Braden and yourself. A lot of the times you mention him in terms of the recruiting. I look at your squad you guys got from Gander, Newfoundland. You got Pegwis, Manitoba. You got, a goalie from Abbotsford, BC. And, everywhere here and there in between. Just talk about Wiley and his staff and how important they are, to the success that you guys have had right now.
Absolutely. I think Wiley's been around for 4 different coaches here, and the North Stars have been competitive all the way through. He's one of those guys. He loves the game, and he lives it. He's at the rink every night. I believe last year he was personally at over 300 games. So wow. When you're putting in that kind of work, it's pretty unbelievable, pretty special. And, we're lucky to have a guy like that. And, like you said, Nuge there, you're only as good as your scouting staff and the people are going to the rink and the eyes that are looking. And, we feel that we have great people involved in the organization from, obviously, president to Wiley to our scouting staff. Braden's been unbelievable to work with. I think when you just have a group of good people and you just end up getting good results with good work ethic, and Wiley's been unbelievable for this organization. And, I've learned a lot from him personally, and just, definitely a great guy with a bright future ahead of him as well.
One player I just want to mention is, of course, you're nothing without your goaltender. And how good has Josh Cote been? How impressed are you with him? Did you know that this is what he was capable with when you brought him in, and just what he's been able to do so far this year?
We knew he was a good goalie bringing him in. Obviously we believed in him quite a bit, and it's one of those things where he's just coming out the gates there. He's been unbelievable the way he approaches practice. He's just got that pro mentality, and great guy in the room. The boys love him. When he comes on, you just feel that calmness from the group. And he's been truly unbelievable. I don't know if there's many goalies I've coached with the level of Josh, and he's just one of those guys that continues to grow his game and get better and better as the days goes on, it seems. And, he's one of those guys in practice. He competes so hard in everything he does. His work ethic is through the roof, and he's never cheating. He's always working, battling for those pucks. Even, you're playing games at the end of the practice, and, sometimes it's easier if you're a goalie to let in a few, not battle for those pucks. But he's jumping across, making saves, and he's gets a lot of respect in that room for the way he works and obviously the way he plays.
I just want to piggyback off of what Nugsy asked Holden in our prior interview. It's just kind of the Battlefords North Stars are getting a lot of noise, a lot of attention, right? Number 1 team in the country. We asked him if he uses that, if he blocks it out. How do you, as the coaching staff, yourself and Braden, try to keep this team dialed in when you're, undefeated in regulation through 17 games? You got a big road test coming up for 5 straight here this week.
Well, I think it was good playing Humboldt this weekend and seeing, the pace they set on Saturday night there. I thought both games were super competitive, and we just know there's a lot of work to be done here. It's great, obviously, to be recognized and things like that, but you don't win it in October and November, and the only thing that matters is being there in May at the end of the day. So it's one of those things. I feel that we have a pretty grounded group, and I feel like we have a mature group and guys that really understand things. And I think everyone just, we have a group, we have a lot of fun working hard, coming to the rink every day. So we just really try to trust the process, and it's one day at a time. And, we're heading out on the road here pretty soon, and we're just play black and silver hockey, and we worry about one game at a time. And then that's kind of just how we get things done.
I guess final question for you, Gary. You guys are 15-0, 1-1. You mentioned it, but nobody's perfect. So what do you think as a coach that the Battlefords North Stars need to improve on?
I think there's quite a few areas, we need to improve on, just like any group. It's one of those things that we'll find out more as the season goes on. We're really looking forward to getting on the road here. I think it's one of those things, just like every team, you just got to work on pace. You got to work on physicality, just the little details of the game. I think for us, we got a committed group, and it's one of those things that if we just keep coming to the ring, keep putting in the work every day. I don't think there's obviously one particular thing that I want to say right now, but it's I think it's just a daily grind and just getting better at the little details every day.
I got my notepad out, Shirley, waiting for some. I got my notepad out, waiting for some information, but you didn't give me any. So,
yeah.
Just kidding.
Well, Gary, regardless, it's been an amazing start to the season for the Battlefords North Stars, and we really appreciate you taking the time to join us today. And like Nugsy said earlier, happy belated birthday.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you having me on, and you guys do a great job. I enjoy watching the show weekly here. So, it's good chatting.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
That is Battlefords North Stars associate coach Gary Childerhose. Love talking to Gary. He's been around the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League for quite some time as both a player and a coach, and obviously he's a big reason why the Battlefords North Stars are off to such a good start this season.
Yeah, we got some great assistant coaches around this league, too.
100%.
The head coaches get a lot of the respect, and for a good reason, but got some great assistants. And, personally, I struggle to think of a better one in the league than Gary. I think there's no question in my mind that Gary could coach a team, be the head guy himself. So the fact that, they got Braden and Chili there, Battlefords, what a combo.
Saw Melford Mustangs broadcaster, excuse me, Matt Barrett shout out the Melford Mustangs legend, Gary Childerhose. But you're right. You need so many moving parts and successful parts in an organization to make the organization successful. You mentioned Wiley, Braden and Gary are two of the best absolutely in the league. Mm-hmm. Then their lineup becomes as deep as it is, and this is why this team is undefeated in regulation. It takes everyone and the community in Battlefords as well. One of the, most impactful communities in terms of support to their team. Great to see.
100%. And a big thank you to both Holden and Gary for joining us on the show today. But we're now excited to bring back one of your guys' favorite segments. And I'm excited because this will obviously be the first time I get to be a part of Buy It or Sell It. I promise next time we do this segment, we will have a big flashy graphic for Buy It or Sell It. It will be over the top, just the way our production team likes it. But we're going to ask 3 questions, and you guys we're going to answer. Are you going to buy it or sell it? So we will start. Do you think there will be a 90-point scorer in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League this season? Buy it or sell it? We will start with Rory.
I'm going to sell it. Okay. I'm going to sell it. Unfortunately, I'm going to sell it. I think it's going to be pretty close. Last year, the league's leading scorer, Connor McGrath, was held at 84, I believe it was, at the end of the season in 2 more games. I think we're seeing a lot of these teams like Battlefords. They're just so deep that it's not led by one guy. I think Holden Dole is going to be really close. Zach Kane's going to be close. Cade Runke, a couple other players. I know I'm leaving some people out, but 85 is where I'm at. I don't think 90 gets hit. No, I'm going to sell it.
Yeah, I'm with you, Rory. I'm going to sell it just for your information out there, because we try to entertain you and educate you. At the same time, Holden Dole is on pace for 96, and Boucher in Humboldt is on pace for 94, even though he's only played 7 games.
Yeah.
So even if he plays every game the rest of the year for Humboldt, then he's on pace for 94. But I'm going to sell it. I think what Rory said, don't want to echo too much. I don't think the teams that have those players, they don't need those guys to put that kind of number up, because they're that deep. And the teams that have a star or 2 or 3, it's hard to sustain that all year. So I'm just going to go with sell it as well.
Very close to 90 though. It's going to be tight.
Yeah, there's going to be some 80s.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So 2 things quickly. Just to play devil's advocate, I will buy it.
There we go.
Why not? And then secondly, my follow-up was going to be, but if I said buy it or sell it to 80 points.
Buy it. Easy.
Buy it.
Easy.
Buy it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Over, I think 3 or 4 players are going to hit it. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to the second question. I think we've talked a little bit about the parity, I think, in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League this season, but do you think the Larange Ice Wolves are the biggest surprise so far this season? We will start with Jamie this time.
Yeah, I'm going to buy it, not because I didn't think they had a great roster or a great coaching staff, but the fact that they started the year with their coach, suspended for 10 games, that's a lot to deal with. Some turnover. They lost Couture, we talked about on the blue line. So I'm going to buy it. I like them. I didn't expect them to be on the pace that they are right now, 4th in the league. Big time kudos to them. Trenton Curtis was a great ad. They're doing a great job, so I'm going to buy it.
Yeah, I was back and forth on this one for a while. I was going to sell
a tricky one.
It's very tricky to debate this because did we all think the North Stars would be this good?
Sure.
That you can have a really positive surprise, right?
Yep.
We knew they were going to be good, but 17 games, they haven't lost in 60 minutes yet.
No, you can't predict that.
Absolutely insane.
No.
However, the part that's going to make me buy it is the fact that they didn't have Kevin Kaminsky for the first 10 games, and they got through it in spades. I didn't know what Dawson Smith was going to bring to the table. He's one of the most elite goaltenders in the league. So there's a lot of surprising pieces with LaRange. So I will just buy it. Yeah, I'm not totally convinced in that stock right now, but I will pick up some shares of it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was also going to buy it as well. So we'll complete the sweep on that one. I saved this one for last because I feel like this one's going to be a good talking point.
Let's start it.
Yes, that is a start, isn't it? There has been a lot of talk around the league and the SJHL regarding potential mandatory cages for Junior A hockey. So my question to you is, mandatory cages for junior hockey, do you buy it or sell it when it comes to the implementation of mandatory cages? Who wants to start on that one?
You want a newser?
I'm fine too.
Perfect.
You know what? This is going to make me unpopular in some circles, and that's fine. I know it's not my money that has to pay for them and whatnot, and I think that's probably the bottom line.
Could you imagine if it was your money?
Thank goodness it's not. But I'm going to buy it. You know what? I'm a dad of two young children, and hockey's a fast sport. We've seen a lot of eye injuries. We've seen a lot of people losing teeth, and that's fine. But I just think a cage makes a lot of sense, just safety wise. We've seen guys go face first into the boards a bunch of times this year. People talk about the whole, there's going to be people running around now because they don't have to fight. People aren't really fighting anyways. I don't really see this league as a ton of fights anyways. So, you know what? And if it's that egregious, then maybe someone will take a suspension for it. But yeah, just generally speaking, I think player safety at this point is worth it. And my final point before I pass it on is that if the kids want to play or players want to play in the NCAA, they're going to have to wear those cages and shields.
That's correct.
Anyways, as an older player.
Right.
So just get used to it now. And we saw it at the Centennial Cup. The Pickering Panthers wore it, and they didn't take. They kept high sticking people and getting 4 minutes. They would get high stick. They couldn't get it. So it kind of wasn't. It was kind of weird to see. It wasn't exactly a even playing field that way too. So I'm gonna buy it and maybe make some enemies.
You know what? I'm not as egregious towards your point as maybe when I heard the announcement. I first thought I was. You're very right. I know all the parents out there too. They're worried about eyes and teeth and dental, right? So I get it. However, I do think there is a level of accountability that will get lowered with the cages, and you'll have some players that will start to, hit to the head more, high stick more, or slash more. And I think you lose a bunch of the accountability when, if you do have a guy that maybe can have that nuclear option on a team. We know there's not a lot of fighting in this league, but it might keep some people in check. And now with cages, I think you might lose some of that. So I hope that it doesn't increase hit from behind. It doesn't increase whacks to the head. It doesn't increase, high hits. But I'm afraid it might. So I'm selling it. I don't like it, but I'm not as opposed as maybe a lot of people are.
I think there's.
I also don't want it to happen in the middle of a season. Right? If they implement it next year, I'm more for it. But in December comes.
Yes. There's obviously, like I mentioned, there's been a lot of chatter about when it might be implemented and whatnot. Obviously, nothing has been finalized just yet. But I'm leaning towards. I agree with both of your guys' sides of the argument here. I'm not going to sit on the fence. I'm going to pick a side. Don't worry. I love all your guys' points. But the point that I think I always come back to, though, is what Jamie said, and that's just if you want to move on to NCAA, they have to wear a cage anyways. So might as well get used to it now. When it comes to, wearing the full cage. And, the game is getting faster. The game is getting a lot faster, and player safety is important. And I think when you come to a junior A hockey league and you want to take that next level to get to NCAA, I think, you're going to have to get used to it no matter what. But at the end of the day, that's what it's up for discussion.
100%. If it does happen mid-season, shout out to all the trainers out there who are going to need to get their stuff in order to get all these cages in. 'Cause I don't know if every team has 30 cages right now, but so they'll be busy.
Yeah. There'll be logistical challenges, but I just think it's worth it. I mean, I think hits from behind and these kind of things will happen anyways. There'll be dirty plays. That's just the way that some guys play on the edge, whatever you want. However you want to word it, it's all semantic. I know Notre Dame played Estevan, and Evan Vanden Heuvel for Notre Dame got absolutely smoked from behind. He got smoked from behind against Yorkton, and then he had to put a cage on. He put a cage on against Estevan, and guess what? He didn't get injured. You know why? Because he had a cage on. It sounds great. As a Notre Dame person, happy to have Evan Vanden Heuvel still in the lineup today because he was wearing a cage. Simple as that. Call me soft or whatever if you want. Soft Ontario guy if you want. I don't care. I just think it makes tons of sense. I get there's logistical issues. I get it's tough. Mid-season, I agree, is a bit crazy, but definitely big time.
I love seeing passionate Nugsy.
Do you know what?
Don't you love to see him?
I love it. I think next week, though, I think we're going to put on your name bar, Soft Ontario Guy.
Soft Ontario Guy.
Just to see how it pops up. But that was buy it or sell it. I think those were some really good topics we had. Obviously, the last one definitely generating a lot of discussion. And there will be updates on the potential mandatory cages throughout the season. And, of course, you can stay up to date on everything on the SJHL website, sjhl.ca, and across the SJHL social media platforms. But before we wrap up for today, we got a couple of games this week to wrap up the week. Of course, yes, there's the social media graphic. You can follow us on all of our social medias. But let's get into this week's action. Tuesday's an off night in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, but Wednesday, we do have a pair of games on the schedule. Big one in Melfort at the Northern Lights Palace as the Melfort Mustangs play host to the Flin Flon Bombers, and then the Melville Millionaires will look to get back in the win column, and so will the Notre Dame Hounds as the Hounds play host to the Mills on Wednesday at 8 o'clock at the Duncan McNeil Arena. And then on Thursday, the Humboldt Broncos will begin a little road trip as well as they take on the Estevan Bruins at Affinity Place. When you look at these three games, boys, and I guess the week as a whole, we're not going to pull up the whole schedule for the week, but what kind of stands out and what are you keeping your eye out on?
Yeah, sorry, I'm actually going to move it a little more in towards the weekend opposed for this week because the Battlefords North Stars have played 5 games on the road, I think it is. A lot of their stuff's been at home. We all know how dominant they are. 63 goals at home. I think they only have about a +4 goal differential on the road, if I'm not mistaken. So 3 games, 3 days, Southern swing. I'm looking at the North Stars to see if they can stay undefeated in regulation.
Jamie?
Yeah, great calls. It'll be very interesting. There's always juice for some reason between Humboldt and Estevan. Maybe it's because of the classic nature of those two organizations in this league. They're just two of the old classic. What do you think about the SJ?
7-game series, not that long removed.
Yeah,
that's right.
Exactly.
That's
Great series is there, and lots of juice last year. People thinking that would have been, the finals that some people wanted to see. So, there was always that interesting, and see if the Estevan Bruins are, on another uptick. Pardon me. And I'm very interested to see again. I'm always interested to see the Nipawin Hawks keep. They've got a bunch of home games coming up here at the cage. We'll see if they can turn this around. They brought in Jackson Fellner to play the net there to take over. McDowell, I think, has moved on. So, it'd be interesting to see if they can, start to turn things around here because I still really believe, and we talked about Carson Dobson, they brought in those 2 young players from Portage. I still think there's something there. FX Bedard had a great start to the year. There's still pieces in Nipawin that I think they're better than the way they've played lately. So, I'm interested and hopeful to see that the Nipawin Hawks can do something in front of their home fans.
We mentioned Battlefords, a lot of home games. Now they're on the road. Estevan, the exact opposite. They had a lot of road games. Now they're finally at home. And who's coming into the building? Battlefords and Humboldt. Doesn't get easy for them, but they are at home. So we'll see the Bruins too.
Yeah, and we'll see if they can build off some momentum. for Wednesday, I'll say the one thing I'm interested in is Flin Flon and Melfort, because the Melfort Mustangs, obviously we've talked about it, a bit of an inconsistent start to the season, but they had a brief 3-game winning streak, winning 2 games against Estevan, then they win against the Weyburn Red Wings, and then a tough loss on Saturday. I want to see how the Melfort Mustangs will respond Wednesday night against a very good Flin Flon team coming into the Northern Lights Pal. So that should be a great game on tap. Of course, SJHL Weekly wouldn't be possible without our great sponsors that we have for the show. As you can see, they pop up on our screen. I will read them all off, though, because they're all well-deserving and great sponsors of our show. Chevrolet Capital Auto Mall, Great Western, Cantera Seeds, RBC, SaskTel, SGEU, Direct West, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, Tourism Saskatchewan, and Young's Equipment. Thank you so much for your support. We really appreciate it, and our show wouldn't be possible without the great support that we have from the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. We mentioned, too, we're going to have another busy week of games across the SJHL. And if you can't make it out to the rink, here's my sales pitch. You can catch all the games on Hockey TV, where you can watch all the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League games. I think it's $29.99 a month, but great subscription. You definitely get your money's worth. But if you can't make it out to the games, we've seen some amazing hockey this season.
100%. And one last shout out, of course, to all the production crew here on the awesome Halloween backdrop and all the work that they do. Happy Halloween and a safe Halloween to everyone out there. But yeah, Jordan, Clark, another.
Nugsy, what were you trying to do there? Raise the roof?
I was trying to see if I can touch the spider web.
The cobwebs.
Can we get the ghost behind Nugsy one more time? Do you got that?
Yeah, let's see if the ghost will appear.
He's a tough guy from the BCHL. Just trying to acquire him, but see if he comes in here. He's having a rough day, though, this guy.
Yes, as you can see, we have lots of fun on the show, which is good. That's what we want to have. Of course, like I mentioned, there's lots of great games going on this week in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, so be sure to go out to your local rinks. If not, be sure to check it out on Hockey TV. For Rory Mcgouran, Jamie Neugebauer, my name is Jeromy Corrigan, and this has been another great episode of SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms.